Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're uncovering a massive, kinda hidden mystery in the tech world. It's a mystery that anyone who's ever touched a digital project has definitely felt, but almost nobody talks about. We're going to look at exactly what really happens after a system's code is supposedly finished. Because as you're about to see, the exact moment those programmers stop typing, that's actually when the absolute most complex part of the journey begins.
So why does launching a finished app take so long? It's a highly relatable question, right? You get that email from the dev team saying, "Great news, the code is totally complete." And yet, you're staring at a go-live date that is somehow still 6 months away. What in the world is happening in that agonizingly long wait between development wrapping up and the actual launch? I mean, where is all that time going if the app is already built?
Okay, let's dive right into this by starting with part 1, the chaos of development. This is that initial phase we're all too familiar with when building systems.
Usually, when you think of a development project hitting its peak, you expect total chaos, right? Our source author describes exactly this. Picture more than 100 developers involved, questions literally flying in from everywhere, issues piling up to the ceiling, endless meetings, just a mountain of documents. The author noted there were days they couldn't even tell if they were building a system or just trying to organize their incredibly chaotic desk. But the reality of an implementation site is completely different. In this specific case, the author was tasked with bringing a completed, already built system from London all the way to Japan. And the environment? It wasn't chaotic at all. It was calm. It was steady. It was surprisingly, almost eerily quiet.
Now, before we uncover exactly why that room was so incredibly quiet, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button if you've ever had to survive one of those messy, chaotic IT launches where your desk was just buried in paperwork. And make sure you hit subscribe for more visual explainers just like this one.
All right, moving on to part 2, a surprisingly quiet room. Let's really step into the author's shoes for a second here. Remember, this wasn't a standard project where the team was just writing code from scratch. They were stepping into a project where the entire system was already developed in London. Their whole job was implementation.
So imagine walking into what is supposedly the absolute peak of a massive global IT project. You're expecting a loud war room, but instead you're thinking, wait, is it really okay for things to be this quiet? The author was just in shock. There was no sudden explosion in headcount, people weren't running around with their hair on fire. Everyone was simply, quietly, and steadily working on their assigned preparation tasks as the completed system slowly arrived from London.
And this led to a pretty profound realization for the author. I see. A system project continues for a surprisingly long time even after development is finished. Let that sink in for a second, because it's a massive shift in perspective. We are so heavily conditioned to believe that building the system is the actual project. But this experience proved that receiving a finished product is actually just the start of a whole new, incredibly long timeline.
Which brings us to the big mystery in part 3, why doesn't it work? I mean, if the completed system from London is already built, already coded, and fundamentally finished, why can't the team in Japan just plug it in and turn it on immediately?
Well, because reality strikes the moment a finished system actually touches the real world. This cascading ripple effect of unexpected problems pops up. Suddenly, the system doesn't behave as expected. Existing business data absolutely won't integrate properly into the new database. Bizarre screen errors just appear out of nowhere. And the absolute classic. You fix one tiny issue over here, and it suddenly creates a massive, unforeseen impact somewhere else entirely. The lesson? Just because the development is done absolutely does not mean you can go live. So how do you actually fix all those ripple effects? Welcome to part 4, the hidden testing journey. This is the massive, completely unseen underbelly of the project that takes place entirely post-development.
There is a strict, pretty undeniable sequence to this journey. Step 1 is unit testing. Step 2 is system testing. Step 3 is the real hurdle, system integration testing. And finally, step 4 is migration planning. In the case of this London to Japan migration, as that completed system arrived, all the surrounding Japanese systems had to be painstakingly tested and gradually shaped just to integrate with this new arrival. It's a totally meticulous, step-by-step evolution.
Now, what's really wild here is this single number, 3. According to our source, you can easily expect to spend a staggering 3 months just conducting thorough testing after development finishes. That is an entire financial quarter dedicated solely to making sure the code that is already quote-unquote done actually plays nicely with the rest of the world.
When we map this surprisingly long timeline out visually, you see the first 3 months are dedicated totally to thorough testing. But look at months 4 through 6. You're spending another 3 whole months running simulations and rehearsals over and over again. And we aren't just talking about software testing anymore. This includes critical human elements like system briefings, stakeholder announcements, and really vital connection tests with external partner companies. It's only after all of that step-by-step checking that you finally reach the actual production go-live.
And that brings us to our final phase, Part 5, the calm before go-live. The author beautifully describes this phase as this steady, quiet, totally deliberate march toward the inevitable storm of launch day.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real shift that's taken place. The technical problem has basically evolved into a massively complex human and operational puzzle. Behind the scenes, the prep isn't just about code anymore. Sure, the team is preparing systems and data, but they are also preparing people and organizations. They're carefully aligning operations and networks. They're finalizing complex migration plans. The storm of go-live hasn't arrived just yet, but countless moving parts are being silently, meticulously orchestrated.
So the really crucial takeaway is this: that shockingly quiet room we talked about at the very beginning, that quietness is actually the sound of intense focus. It's the careful alignment of real-world value. Because a system is never really finished just when it's built. The real work, the true essence of what a project actually is connecting that completed system with the people, the business processes, and the existing organizations so that it can genuinely create value.
Which leaves us with this final, somewhat provocative question. When is a system truly finished? Is it when the last line of code is written? Or is it months later, when the actual humans using it finally realize its value? I guarantee you're going to look at your next digital transformation entirely differently after this. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you in the next one.